Hi, welcome. My name is Patrick O'Brien. I am a real estate agent in Chicago with Dreamtown Realty, and I am here with Tony from Neighborhood Loans, one of the CEOs. We're going to cover a lot of topics for you today. Let's dive right in. Thank you so much for having me today.
Awesome, Patrick. I'm glad to be here.
What inspired you to start Neighborhood Loans? Let's start there.
If you'd allow me, I'd like to start a little prior to that.
Okay.
Just so you know, I actually purchased Neighborhood Loans with one of my childhood best friends, Reno. We've grown up together since we were 10 years old, and we went to school together. We played sports together. We got into the mortgage business together at 18 while we were going to community college, actually just down the street from where we're at today. And within 6 months of diving into the industry, which was the early to mid 2000s, just prior to the mortgage crisis,
Okay.
and we ended up dropping out of school to do loans full time. Like, we fell in love.
You both dropped out.
We both dropped
Okay.
out. It was the first time in our lives that everyone, including our parents and friends, thought we were absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I
Right?
would think
Because
so.
we just
Yeah.
dove in. All of our friends were going to school and university, and we said, we're going to leave that route to do this full time. We found it. And believe it or not, a few short years later, the mortgage crisis happened.
Okay.
70% of the companies in this industry had shut down and went out of
Right.
business. And in addition to that, the economy was in a lot of turmoil and pain. And if you remember, a lot of the big banks had to be bailed out in
Right.
order to serve the people so that times wouldn't get worse than they already were going. A lot of people lost their homes. It was a very, very tragic time. Funny enough, actually, just shortly after that, at the age of 22, in December of 2009, is when Reno and I ended up buying Neighborhood Loans, which was a pre-existing brokerage at the time.
Okay.
And that was probably the second time in our lives that everyone thought we were absolutely crazy.
Right.
You know, it was bad enough the first time, but like
Right.
everyone's leaving this business, and here we are purchasing a company at the young age of
Right.
22, which at the time was like all the money in the world. Everything we had, we put into this company. And again, everyone thought we were crazy for doing so. And, you know, you look back and we are so grateful that we took that risk. And I'm grateful that we were at a point in our lives where, you know, we didn't have any kids or major responsibilities so that we'd
Right.
be in a position to take that risk. I think a lot of times that these opportunities are presented to people, you weigh them against what you're accountable for, who you're responsible for, and what you're risking.
Right.
And so I think we're very fortunate to be in a position to be able to risk it, because after the last 15 years, evidently, it's worked out very, very well, through good times and through tough times. And I'll tell you, because a lot of people ask, one of the reasons I think it has worked out over the last 15 years is we've surrounded ourselves with some great people, and we are not afraid to ask for help. I'll tell you. Matter of fact, I need your help is one of my 4 favorite words. I use them all the time. I probably used them 3 times in the last week.
And those are hard words for most people to ask.
Very hard.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a lot of courage to open yourself to people, to let them know you're in a position where you need it, because a lot of times people think that it can make you look weak or
Not organized.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And honestly, I wish people would do it more often. I tell people in my coachings to do it more often, because when you surround yourself with great people, people want to help you, but they need to know you need it.
Right.
Just like in sales, a lot of times, you know, we coach a ton, whether it's loan officers or in some cases agents, and you know, I remind them to ask for business, because if you don't ask, people don't need it. Whether it's your friends, your family members, your database, they might think you're too busy for them, right? So
Well, it puts you in a place of vulnerability, and some people don't want to sit in their vulnerability.
yeah,
And
and
it's
I
difficult to
would
ask.
say that
Yeah.
sharing pain and vulnerability is one of the best ways to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been saying the mantra that growth is uncomfortable. So if you are in a process of growing, you are going to take on the uncomfortability. But people don't want to be uncomfortable. And the moment they are and realize they want to stop. And then they stop the growth.
I believe that 100%. Now, I had a long-winded answer for your first
Okay.
question, and I tell people
keep
all the
going.
time, like, whoever does the most talking in these things is the one who thinks it went the best. So when I'm done with this, I'm going to go tell everybody how great it was.
Okay, good. Okay, let me ask you, how does Neighborhood Loans stand out from your competitors in the mortgage industry?
That's a great question. I think, well, I think the first one is there's a lot of great companies out there.
Right.
Unfortunately, today there's less than there were just a year and two ago. And if you want to just talk about the companies who are left, in our current market, we saw 6 to 7 major companies in the last 2 years either close down and take their chips off the table or merge with other companies. And unfortunately, some of them had a fire sale. So the market went from 2020 and 2021, just after COVID, where it was very nervous about what was going to happen, to a couple of the most vibrant years this industry's ever seen. And then just outside of that, through 22, 23, and 24, if you notice the trends in the numbers, purchases today in the nation are down to levels that we haven't seen since 1990.
Yeah.
And once again in the year 2001. And so you look at that and you're saying levels are down to what they were 25 and 35 years ago. So what that means is market share has dropped by over 50% from 2020 and 2021 through 22 and 23, and in some markets 60 to 70%. And that makes it very difficult for companies who had scaled to work at higher levels through the past couple of years. And I'd say the first indicator is that we didn't just go through this tough market as a company. We ended up growing through the tough market. Right. And you look at where we're at today compared to where we were as a company through COVID, and we're within 5% of the total volume we've ever closed as a company in 2024 compared to our peak year in 2021 in a market that's down 50%. And I did a lot of math there, so if you're listening to this, like, you might have to go back and work that one out. But I would say that we're proud of that. Very proud of our team for working through those times and sharpening their skills, adding more value to their customers and clients, adding more value to their partners that introduce them and refer them to other opportunities and people to help finance. And I will tell you, last October in 2024, we had our biggest funding month ever in all time as a company in this market. And
what do you attribute that to?
I think if you look at my position as co-CEO of the company, we focus on three things. Like the number one job that I have is to help our current team grow. And so what I do to do that is I make sure they have the best tools and resources available and at their disposal so that they can service their clients at the highest level. The second thing that I need to focus on is adding a few great team members to this company every year. And, I do that by doing number one well. Like, we don't have a very promotional company. We don't have a lot of recruiters that call people all the time. There's some companies that do. The way that we've grown our company is focus on doing a really great job for the people we have here. And then, again, what I said earlier, asking them for their help. Hey, if I've done a good job for you, would you introduce me to somebody that you think might be a good fit for us and that you think we'd have a positive impact on as well? And if we truly are doing a good job, they are happy to refer because they think they're doing a good service to the person they're referring. And so I attribute our growth to that. And a lot of times, what I've noticed compared to some of the competition is our retention's really, really high. And I think it's because the majority of the way that we've grown has been that style. Now, mind you, we're not the biggest lender out there, and there's a lot of bigger companies, so it may be harder to scale that way as you get bigger. But for us and where we're at today, I'm very proud of the results.
That's great. What would you say is the mission statement of Neighborhood Loans?
That's a great question. Naturally, I think for us, it's to be able to help as many people as possible achieve the dream of home ownership. And the reason for us is because of how it translates into net worth and wealth accumulation for them. If you look at some of the numbers, I looked at them a couple months ago and I shared it with the team, but you can look at it in your market or you can look at it nationally and compare the average net worth of somebody who owns a home compared to somebody who rents. And the numbers are shockingly wide in terms of what that net worth is. My recommendation is, if you're listening to it now, look it up and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And so if you can dramatically improve the wealth accumulation of a family and their ability to be a better community member, be in a better spot with their finances, be in a better spot to provide for their families, then I think that you end up making a positive impact in the places that you serve. So our job is to make a positive impact on the lives of the people who do business with us and the communities that they're buying homes in. So that's our mission, and it really, there's nothing more fulfilling than that.
That's great.
Thanks.
That's really great. What trends are you seeing in the mortgage industry right now?
Another great question. So we're going into 2025. It's February now as we're having this conversation. And what I'm seeing compared to the last couple of years, at least in the Midwest, which is where we are right now, we're seeing supply loosen up a little bit. I think we saw those numbers really tighten up during the COVID era in 2020 and 2021. And we're starting to see that loosen up a little bit in certain pockets, which is healthy for the market. It wasn't too long ago that a lot of clients were paying much over list and coming to closing with a lot of cash. That's happened. It's still happening. It's happening less than it used to, which is positive. And we're also starting to see the transition of high rate mortgages. Now, rates are high. They're much higher than they used to be. And when I say we're starting to see the transition, we're starting to see positive signals that it's going to start heading in a better direction in the years to come as we're taking better management of over inflation. There's still some concerns over where it's headed over the next year. So I would tread cautiously in terms of where rates will be this year. I would imagine they're going to be very similar to what we saw last year. But I think once we get through that hump, I think we're going to see a downward trajectory. And what that's going to mean for all of us is more affordable housing, which is really the need of our mission. Like, for us to do our job, we need housing to be as affordable as possible so that the average person is able to purchase a home. And so we're hopeful that we're headed in the right direction because it will continue to help accumulate wealth for the people who are buying these homes and make it more affordable so that more people can qualify to do it.
Right. Thank you. This has been great.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
And thank you for listening. My name is Patrick O'Brien. Again, I'm at Neighborhood Loans with Tony. I'm also with Dreamtown Realty. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.